When Jim Bakker was in prison, journalists were clamoring for an interview with him. Our next guest was the one person granted that interview. Stephen Winzenburg teaches communications at Grandview College in Des Moines, Iowa. He has followed the world of televangelism for years. Stephen, you are the only person that talked to him, the only journalist who talked to him.
Certainly other people talked to him, but I was the only one that he allowed to come in and do some on-the-record interview.
Right. What is your impression of Jim Bakker after his time in prison?
Well, first of all, what the Reverend there said is correct. Jim Bakker claims that he has completely changed his life. He's no longer preaching the gospel of prosperity. Now, what I said to Jim when I talked with him was, it's easy for you to say that when you're in prison, because lots of people have prison conversions, and then when they get out of prison, they go back to their old lifestyle. But he claims that he's going to try to change his lifestyle. But where I disagree with your previous guests is them saying that they don't think Jim is going to get back on television. Jim Bakker told me point blank he has ideas for at least 15 different television networks, and that he would like to see one of those start. All he needs is a millionaire who's willing to write the cost for the first year of a television network, and he would go back on television.
Reverend Price, how about that?
That'd be interesting to observe. When was this statement made?
I interviewed him in December of '92.
Right. Well, the statement that I referred to a moment ago was as of this week. So it'll be interesting to watch to see which direction he does go.
Well, I'm sure publicly that people who are associated with him are saying he's not going to get back on television because they don't want to rile people up at this point. And also part of the legal directions that the judge gave is that he can't get involved in fundraising right now. So they're being very careful what they're doing. But I can just tell you that he has dreams of being back on TV.
And Stephen, you're saying that you don't buy the prison conversion that Reverend Price is talking about?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm waiting to see if it's real. I think anybody who goes to prison and has a change of heart, when they come out, we should all look at them, see how they live their lifestyle when they get out, and find out if the conversion is real. I'm just waiting to see if it's real over the next few months.
Okay, let's check in with Art Harris and see what he has to say about both of these various comments about whether or not Jim Bakker does have plans to be a televangelist again. Art Harris, as many of you know, was working for the Washington Post when he was working on the Jim Bakker scandal. You have followed televangelists here at CNN as a member of CNN's Special Assignment Unit. What's your take on this?
Stephen made a good point, and that is you have to wait and see, excuse me, Susan, what Jim Bakker is going to do. You've got to remember, he was a great actor. If you ever saw his show, he was a Donahue for born-agains. This was he had gospel groupies going down to PTL to get on the show, just like you have groupies for your show, Susan. And they were everywhere.
They don't send me millions of dollars, though, Art. That's the difference, and I think that's one of the reasons why people feel so betrayed by him.
Yeah, there were wonderful people who were his followers, and when I interviewed them after the fall, they were so hurt, and they were such good people, and I think they felt that they had put their faith in a man, perhaps, and not in God, and it forced them to reevaluate. And so a lot of the money afterwards, instead of sending it to an empire of excess, which his was, they began sending it to their local churches, to people perhaps like Reverend Price's Baptist Church, where you have the money goes right to programs that you can see
it.
And it's well monitored by trustees and finance committee and others in the local church. Are
local churches now much more careful about accountability, where the money goes after the Bakker scandal?
This has been one of the real good things about the Bakker scandal, is because local churches and television ministries also, the group of ministers that are in broadcasting today, have formed an organization called ECFA, and it stands for Evangelical. It's an organization that monitors and audits the finances of the organization that's in television. That's good.
How old is that?
It's as old as the PTL scandal.
Susan, can I make a comment here?
Yeah.
Because that is correct. The ECFA has done a very good job at attempting to monitor. The problem is most of the major television evangelists are not part of the ECFA. And so in order to try to monitor them, you can't get their records. 2 years ago, I wrote to 21 TV preachers asking for an audited financial statement. 4 of the 21 returned a financial statement. The other 17 put me on their mailing list and started asking me for money.
And
So it's
Stephen,
pretty tough to get
Stephen,
information.
all right, we've got to take a break, Stephen, so I'm going to ask you about the future of television televangelists. We're going to be getting to that also in further detail a little bit later in the show. But also when we come back, we will meet some faithful followers who would welcome Jim Bakker back into the pulpit today. Stay with us.